improving Agile Retrospectives, and he's working with companies like Bosch, Daimler, and Audi. Marc, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, nice. Look at us. How are you? Are you eager?
Can you hear me too?
What?
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's very good. Are you eager to start?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, go.
So I'm on big stage now, right? Can you hear me? Wave your hands if you can hear me. Yeah, that's awesome. So I can bring people to wave their hands even if they're 1,000 kilometers away. That's awesome. So the first thing I would like to ask you is to stand up. Everybody. Perfect. Even in the front row, I can see you. I can see everybody. Even in the guys in the balconies, I can see you guys. You're not standing yet. Yeah. Okay. And now, please, the people in the room who have not started with Agile yet, please sit down. We just think about doing Agile, not doing Agile yet. Just sit down now. Oh, a few. That's good. So now, please, people sit down who think, yeah, we are trying to do the Agile, but it's not really working that well yet. Okay. And now, please sit down. The people who say, yeah, it's okay. I think it's running, but we can still learn a lot. And now look at these two guys from my side on the left, from your side on the right. So we are the only guys who are allowed to scale. The rest can go home now. Okay. Thank you. Just sit down. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll wait. Still people coming in. Hey guys, how was the break? Did you enjoy it? Okay. So it seems, if you can still hear me, just wave your hands for a second. I'm sure because it was just use this one now as the next thing and show you how Agile sounds in most companies, okay? It sounds more or less like that. I will just move away from the microphone, otherwise. Sounds familiar, right? Now you hate me, I know. But and now imagine you would scale this. So if you would scale this, it would just look like this. Yeah, a big pile of shit. So before you scale, you should maybe do your homework and just work on some things to be really sure that it's okay and that we just removed all the things that should work, and then maybe you should scale. So Agile should sound like that in the beginning. Let's see. You may applaud now. Okay, so it's all about doing your homework, right? So first of all, you have to clean a few things up. So the first thing, get rid of the people who only want to cover the S's. You may know them. And these are mainly people who are responsible for a certain area, like line managers, maybe project managers, maybe some department managers, CEOs, CDOs, whatsoever. And they are really happy that they don't know what is happening in your team. Because if they don't know what the real status is, then they can just say, okay, I didn't know that it's that bad, and I can just kick the project manager out and I'm fine. But now you guys, the Agile guys, came around the corner and just tell them, you know, we have all this transparency thingy. Now we know exactly where we are. But now this guy has to do something about it. right? Now it's really, really difficult to cover the S anymore. And that's why some just have the problem of Agile. I don't like Agile because now I really know what's happening and I have to do something about it. And as long as you have such people in the company who are working like that, it's really difficult to really go in this direction, right? Who knows something similar? Who has a boss covering the S in the company? Raise your hands. Yeah, a few at least. Fine. So this one is my favorite picture, and I can tell you I searched for that one a long time, right? And it's beautiful, right? It's a dead horse. It still looks like it could ride along, but yeah. So what you can see in a lot of companies is the project's already down the train. And especially in Germany, the problem is if we start something, we finish things up, even if we know it doesn't make sense anymore. I don't know if it's similar in Serbia, but at least in Germany, it's like that. So lots of people are riding dead horses. But then they have something like a dead project, a dead team whatsoever, and then they believe if I put some nice, agile, shiny saddle on this dead horse, it will just stand up and go again, right? And we all know this won't happen. But if we have these people who still believe that, no, the dead, nah, it just looks dead. It's not dead. It's not that dead. You know, maybe it's, yeah. And then it's like electroshocks. You're putting some electroshocks on the horse. It's just doing that for a second, right? But it's not really going anywhere. And so you first have to get rid of all dead horses, and then can you move on, right? That's maybe a good idea. The next thing is that we need to scale because of projects are the hugest projects ever, so there's no other way than just scaling. And when you then look at these teams and then you ask, okay, so who are your core members? No, we have a team of 80 team members and all of them are working really in this project. So how many are really 100%? Yeah, about 10. And the other 70, yeah, they are just staff from time to time, maybe a day, a month, or something like that. Why do huge projects then, right? You can get rid of all of them, maybe. The other thing where you can get rid of huge projects is maybe just by splitting them down into smaller chunks, or by finding ways how can I produce a product that is maybe smaller than in the beginning. Okay, first people are leaving. It's that bad. I'm sad now. Why? Oh, he's leaving. Okay, what can I do? Okay. So, for example, if I would like to create a new word processor, I want to kick ass Microsoft and create a new Word. Nobody else has. Of course, I could just gather the big list of features and requirements from Word and just try to reinvent Word. But maybe it's a better idea to just find out, okay, what could be a killer feature nobody else has, and what are maybe the most important features like I just can add to this project and I'm already fine. So my word processor, for example, would be just something that could read your mind. You just need to sit in front of your computer and it's just sucking all things from your mind and putting it into your Word document. Isn't it awesome? And I bet if you would have such a project and such a product, you don't care about things like serial letters and stuff like that only a tiny fraction of people need. So you can just get rid of these things, okay? So who is involved in a huge project here in the room? Somebody? Oh, really? We have to talk, guys. Just add your questions afterwards in the matchmaker tool, matchabout tool, not matchmaker, matchabout. Okay. So next problem I often see is a demotivating environment. So just 1 year ago, I visited my customer in India, and I went into the offices, and it looked exactly like on the slide. It looked like a big chicken store. Really people sitting really closely together, didn't really have much space for themselves, no area where they can really talk and collaborate, no plans, no windows, really no windows. Oh, of course, there was one window, but it was just shut down because it was too sunny outside, of course. So And then just think about working in such an environment. How can you really do great work in such an environment? Who of you maybe have experienced that they had to move different than the other one before? Somebody in the room? You're lucky. You're really lucky. I have to move to Eastern Europe maybe. There were two guys. Again. So you guys with the huge projects had to move in a bad building. That's really hard. Can somebody just take a photo of her and then send it back to me later? Thank you. Yeah, so just create an environment where people can strive, where there's maybe all these things about open offices. Open offices are not the best solution to anything. People believe open offices are great. That's bullshit from my point of view. If you have an open office, you need rooms where can people get in for doing phone calls, or bigger rooms where people can collaborate, maybe mob programming, doing such things, for example. Having some plans somewhere, having whiteboards on the walls. If this is not really here, it's really difficult to be agile at all, to work agile at all. So you need to have an environment. I'm not talking about tools, but I'm quite sure some of you have Nerf guns in the office. Who has Nerf guns in the office? Yeah, Nerf gun battles. That's cool. I like that. So just because of the Nerf guns, you're maybe already agile. No. So the next big issue is culture. So who of you is working in a company that's older than 20 years? Again, the guy with a huge project. There's a picture coming up somewhere. It looks like a pattern, I think. Yeah. I know, you guys, I know. You guys, they don't know. Yeah. And your culture is a big issue. If you're in a company that's maybe like Bosch, 125 years old, so this company has created a culture which is there for quite some long time. And now some agile guys come around the corner and just believe if we put agile on there, the culture will just change. I think everybody knows that this is just bullshit. It doesn't work. Hi, welcome to the second row. Nice that you join us. Had a longer break, huh? Perfect. And so culture is really, there's a saying, right? Culture eats process for breakfast. And that's not that wrong. It's really like that. So you really have to take culture into account. People need to know, hi, somebody's joining the front row, that's perfect. So people need to know why they are changing, what is the purpose of that, what is being better in the end for me, and all these things. If this is not there, then it's really difficult. The best way, by the way, to change a culture in a company is if there is some pain, right? So if the company is really going down the drain, it's really easy to change a culture. But if it's happy and thriving and everything looks fine, it's really difficult. So culture is a big topic and a big issue, I think. So let's see, what do we have next? Oh yeah, I like this one a lot. So I know which arms will go up in a second, but which of you believe that they are doing too many projects in parallel in the company? Yes, I knew it. Yeah, and who of you have done to work in more than one project? In more than two? In more than three? What? In more than four? In more than five? Come on, more than 10? Still, more than 10, really, seriously. Give this guy some free cake afterwards, okay? They need some serious cake. Yeah, so that's ridiculous. So if you're doing too much things in parallel, the thing about Agile is also about commitment. So how can you commit to a project if you not really know which is your project, right? Where do you feel really part of a project? Where do you feel really like home in a project? If it's like that you have maybe 2 or 3 projects at the same time. So for what project are you working on priority? What's the most important project for you? Yeah, of course, you're 20% here, 30% there, 50% there. And of course, after 30%, you just let your pen drop and move to the next project, right? No, that's usually not happening. Usually you're joining the project where the people scream the loudest. Yeah, because I need you here because you can't move. And you just join this project, and then the other guy is screaming, and you join the next project. This doesn't make sense. And so you need to introduce some serious portfolio management just to find out what are the projects that are most important, where do you really see any value anymore, which are the projects maybe running for 2 and more years that don't make sense anymore, stop them for the moment at least, and try to reduce the number of projects that you can really work agile. Otherwise, it's getting really freaking difficult to get anything on the street. So I think that's really, really important to think about these things first. Get rid of all these parallel projects. And now she's leaving. I don't know what I did. But hopefully some of the other guys are joining. Okay, so too much in parallel. Yeah, I like it. Just imagine, usually I would stay on stage now. Yeah, component teams. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so just imagine I'm on stage now. Yeah, and I bring you guys here, you 3-4 guys sitting in the 4th row here of the epic stage. You bring you on stage, and I ask the first one of you and tell him, hey, you, Jelena, is there Jelena on the 4th row maybe? There are tons of Jelenas, and I know that. And I think alone at Puzzlesoft, there are working at least 3 Jelenas. So Jelena's on stage, and I tell her, Jelena, you are the best in holding saxophone. So I just put a necklace on the neck, and then the saxophone is just hanging down from her, right? Because she's the best in holding a saxophone. And then I get up Milos. Milos is coming with me too, and then Milos, he's awesome. He's the best guy in pressing buttons on a saxophone. He's awesome. There's nobody else in Serbia who can press better buttons on a saxophone than him. He's awesome, right? And then there's Peter. And Peter, I can tell you, he can blow the horn. Awesome, yeah? So this guy is the best one in blowing the horn. So all of these 3 guys now are on stage, right? One is holding the saxophone, the other has the keys in the hole, and the 3rd one is blowing into the horn. And you know what comes out of that? Bullshit, of course. Yeah, like maybe with the thing I played in the beginning. It sounds quite similar, right? This is a component team. You have lots of functional departments with the best key pressers, holders, and blowers in the world, but in the end, just shit comes out of it, right? Doesn't really work. Just think of an orchestra where you need 3 people to play the trumpet, the saxophone, the trombone, the whatever. So you need 3 times more people for doing the same thing, and even sounds less good, right? So really bring people together into real cross-functional teams where you have everybody in the team to get the shit done. If you don't do that, and you're not able to do that, especially you guys in a huge company in the 4th row, right, again, yeah, it's really difficult to work agile, I can tell you. It's really, just maybe bring a saxophone to your company to show, and then you will see. By the way, is there somebody in the room who can play saxophone? Somebody? No saxophone players? Yeah, some. On the right, I can't see him, sorry, or her. Good, so what else? Yeah, zombies are looking at you in the 4th row again. Are you zombies? No, you aren't. You are here, you're not the zombies. The other guys are the zombies. So what happens usually in companies where you have lots of strict processes, where it's exactly defined what are the next steps you have to do, right? People stop thinking. Because why should they think if there's already a paper, a process defined somewhere? They just have to follow the process and everything will be fine, right? So do you have lots of processes in your company down there? Some. So I once worked in a company which had a global product development process. So this was a development process which was used for any product development in the company. So we were developing screwdrivers. It was in surgery screwdrivers, but we were also developing complete IT systems. And the thing was, we had all used the same process. And you can really imagine what kind of a monster this process in the end was. So it was just hindering us more or less. And the other problem is if you are really a process-driven company, you get lots of people who like to work in processes. So you are really in danger of getting lots of zombies in your company. So who knows some zombies in their own companies? Just follow the process, don't think anymore. Or having dailies like, so Milos, what did you do yesterday? Yeah, I worked on task A, and today I will continue to work on task A, and impediments, I'm impeded by task A. Yeah, and then the next guy comes and then says, yeah, I'm working currently on task B, and I will continue working on task B, and I have no impediments at all. Yeah, who knows such dailies working just like that in a way, more or less senseless dailies. Oh my God, yeah, I can see you guys. Yeah, so it's just useless. This is just a daily stand-up by Scrum zombies. And the more Scrum zombies you have, the less it makes sense to go in scaling agile. So zombies, I like those guys, but they want to eat my brain. That's not what I like. Okay. The next thing is missing courage. You may know that one of the Scrum values is courage, and what you can see often is that there is no courage anymore in such companies. The point is, any agile process is nothing more than your bad mother-in-law. Who has a bad mother-in-law, by the way? Yeah. So this is on TV now. I will show it to her. The thing is, the bad mother-in-law is just pointing out all the things that are not working, right? So the same applies to any agile process. It doesn't solve any problems. It's just showing you what doesn't work. You're not able to deliver, it shows it. You're not able to collaborate, you will see it. You have all the fights all the time, you will just see it. You're completely out of project scope, this is transparent in an agile process. The thing is, then you have to bring up the courage to adapt and to change your process. And for that, you also need an environment where this is allowed to change things, to bend the rules, to try new things. And the more strict and more processes are in your company, the more courage you need to do something about it, because you may have the fear of getting kicked out of your company, right? So you need lots of courage to change anything. And without courage, it's really getting difficult. And I often see people in companies who are really grumpy and so on. And if you talk to them, you really find out they weren't grumpy in the beginning. But at the beginning, they had lots of cool ideas. They want to change things and so on. And then they just got beaten up because maybe something failed or whatever. And so they just stop being courageous anymore. And they just stop trying new things. And then you again shifting into a company with tons of zombies and don't move anymore. That's a bad thing. So courage is really important, and you need courage. Otherwise, you're doomed. So you may know this one, right? So these guys in fourth row, they are really, I fear you are really fully utilized, right? Because still some people believe that we have to utilize our workforce 100%. Because it can't be that Milos is just being 50% free. Come on, this 15% we will find a project for him and just put him into this project, right? Yeah, you can do that, but what happens to systems that are 100% utilized? You can see it on the picture. So this street is currently 100% utilized. And as you can see, nothing is happening anymore, right? The whole traffic is stuck. We have a big traffic jam. The same happens in companies and with employees. If you're 100% utilized, you're not able to think anymore. You're not able to maybe adapt processes. You're not able to maintain your system in any way. So maybe it looks still good, but in a few months and years will just be rotten because nobody had the time to really think about how to improve in this company anymore. So and people, 100% in the company is one of the worst thing you can do. And it's also one of the things why in this case, Agile won't work anymore. Because if you are 100% utilized, you don't have the time to adapt. You don't have the time to be courageous anymore. So this is really one of the big issues you have, right? So this is something you want to avoid. So who is fully utilized in their own companies in the room? Come on, guys, the fourth row again. Yeah, too bad. You have to change that, otherwise don't think about scaling, forget it. But that's why you're here, right? Okay, let's move on. Commitment versus value. So what do I mean by that? So especially in component-driven companies, what you have is mainly there's a product management department somewhere, and then you have a development department somewhere. Maybe you even have a testing department somewhere, and maybe even integration and whatever department somewhere. And usually it happens like that, that product management has some nice idea what they want to have to be developed. So they're writing up a requirements document. Could be some big document in Word or whatever, maybe even in Jira somewhere, with all the requirements they would like to see. And then you have the development department more or less signing up for, yes, guy, we develop for you and deliver in 2 years. Who has some similar process in their companies somewhere here in the room? Yeah. And of course, you as a development team will not be able to deliver on time in the end, right? Because 2 years in advance, nobody can plan ahead like that. It's not possible. So the problem is then, if you have a company who still is on to this commitment, you told me you will deliver these features to me, even though maybe some of the features don't make sense anymore. And there are better ways how to solve it, or we can leave things out because you don't need them. Versus companies focusing on value and just looking what is the most important thing we have to do next and just working on this one. This is really helpful. But just going in a direction of saying, okay, you committed to that one, you have to deliver that one, otherwise I will cut your head off, doesn't really work, right? It's a really dangerous thing. So try to get into companies who really focus on value instead of just a commitment. But it's also a quite German thing, and we do it a lot. Contracts, deliver something, and then if not, we will kick your asses. We have great lawyers out there, I can tell you. So what's next? This is, by the way, one of my favorites. So who believes in miracles here in the room? Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I believe in miracles. Yeah. Believing in miracles is not a bad thing, but a little story from my work life. So when I was still employed, I had a big team working on a new product, and it was about November, and we invited whole product management just to show them where we are currently, and we had to deliver in January. The whole team already knew we won't make it. So we made up nice charts, we had all the empirical data, how far we have come and so on. It was pretty clear there's no chance at all to meet the January date. No possibility. And the product manager was just nodding heads in the air. We understand. Yeah, it's clear. Yeah. And by the end of the whole meeting, the chief of product management just stood up, walked around the room, and started to pat shoulders and just tell them, hey, you will make it until January. I know you will make it, right? So he just ignored all the empirical data and just believed in a miracle. Maybe tomorrow we will all wake up and everything is done right. Yeah. But the painful thing about Agile is it won't work like that. If there's transparency, you totally know that this won't work and that you won't be able to deliver at all. And you all have this empirical data. You know the velocity, you know your backlog, and you know exactly when you will be done. But if you still have somebody in a company believing in miracles and believe the only thing that really works is pushing harder, right? Because if you push harder on management, then of course you deliver. So what happened to us was the date was shifted to May, still not really possible for us. But and then the management told us we had to work on weekends and late in the evenings. We had something similar like that, working weekends, late in the evenings, to just finalize the project for longer than 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Okay, poor guys. We had it to do for 5 months. And of course, we finalized the project. We were done in May, but the product was just crap. Quality was down, was unmaintainable, the code. The product was not really working like it should work and was just ugly like hell. And this happens when you're really pushing harder for, because you believe in the miracle that something miracle happens, or maybe even adding people late to the project is also a perfect idea. Adding people late to the project, of course, it will get a lot faster. Yeah, you know that's not working. So, what else do we have? So for me, the biggest anti-pattern for scaling is scaling itself. You may have seen this picture already. Others, by the way, are there some safe consultants in the room yet? Now, at the moment? Woo! Yeah. Sorry, guys, that I'm bashing on this one, but yeah. So I know that you want to do really your best. I'm sure. Even you're in the third row with the blue shirt now. I can see you down there. They are doing this in the best belief that SAFe will help them, right? That's fine. But last week I sat together with a manager. We talked about doing Agile in this company, and he just pulled out SAFe, put it on the table and say, you know, the SAFe thingy, why I like it a lot, because it already looks almost like we are doing it here. And this company was in no way Agile. But the SAFe thing, especially if you only look on this higher level, just looking on all the boxes, and without understanding why they are there, really implies in people start to believe that they're not that far away from Agile because it looks already like what is written on this paper here. And so they hide all the problems down below this SAFe umbrella. Some guys said on Twitter today, I think, SAFe is the treasure where you can put your Scrum values. So I like this metaphor, but so scaling, like I said before, is before you scale, I think there are lots of other potentials you should look into. And before you start with scaling, you should maybe look into these areas like cross-functional teams, like having a real transparency which is accepted and nobody's covering their asses. And all these things are really important. And when you have this culture and the thingy in your company, then you might think about scaling. But most of the time, then the need to scale is just vanishing because you find out, oh, there's lots of other potential we can use. So we don't need to scale at all. And that's what I see a lot in companies. When I talk to companies and they tell me we have big project, we need to scale, and I look into that, and 80% of the times we find out there are better ways than to scale. And so before you start to scale, I will share the slides later on SlideShare. Before you start scaling, look into these things first, do your homework to really make sure that everything is in place, everything is there, that you can really start with scaling. And then it may make sense. So in the beginning of this talk, there were 2 people standing up still. So these guys are maybe already on a level where you can say, okay, we start with scaling. The rest in the room looks like there's still some homework to be done. And now I'm up for your questions. Now it will be interesting. How does it work now with questions? There's somebody. Where did he come from? Hi.
Did you check the questions on Matchabout, or would you like us to do this old-fashioned style?
I can go if there's some questions on the.
Okay, I'll check if someone wants to ask a question here. Is there any questions?
Now you have to go down.
Here he goes.
Hi, it's about the project with the January 1st deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the estimates for that deadline came from?
Again, I didn't get a great question. What was the question?
How did you end up setting the January 1st as the deadline? Was it estimated? Was it a contract saying that it should be delivered on 1st of January?
Okay, yeah, it was like the date was just scheduled. I would call it in an ivory tower. So somebody just decided on top level we have to be done at that date because there is competition. We have to get the product out of the door at that exact date. That's why we had this nice date. Question answered? Okay, who else wants to ask questions? come on, don't be shy. I'm just one guy on a big wall, you know. I can't hurt you.
Hi. So, from your experience, if there was one thing you would like us to leave this place today, what would that be? Regarding your experience in Agile, I mean. Thank you.
Yeah, so the one thing I would like to, so scaling for me is just, we call it in Germany, we call it, it's just like bringing the next pick through your little location, right? And the thing about scaling is, so before you scale, I think if you go at least for cross-functional teams, then the first step, this would already be good, because then you would also maybe have the people already 100% in your teams, would have everybody you need in your teams, and maybe you would already find out that you don't need to scale at all because now you're really that fast and you're not this distributed anymore. So sitting together in one room, cross-functional teams, from my point of view, is the best thing. And then oftentimes you will find out that there's no need to scale at all anymore. Any other questions? Maybe from the guy that just entered the room.
Hello. Question about the dead horse. What kind of voodoo magic do I need to use on my management to bury that horse?
Voodoo magic, yeah. Just let me check into my voodoo box and then. No. Yeah, the problem is with dead horses is oftentimes that people really love their horses, even though they are dead now, because they just maybe started it. It's their hobby horse, I would call it. Yeah, they like it, and it's really difficult for them. But maybe it's a good idea to just, maybe you know the product vision board from Roman Pichler. It's I think a great tool to just ask the right questions. If this product you're currently developing really has any value anymore. So what problem does it solve? What do people get when they get this product, and so on and so on. And I did this more than once, that I had product management sitting with me and asked them to answer the questions, and they were not really able to answer these questions. And then I can ask a second step, so what's then the point to continue with that one when we already can see that there's no value, right?
Usually
so this could be
usually the answer is it still has potential.
Yeah, that could be an answer. Yeah, but then maybe the question is there something maybe more important than this one? But of course, I could also answer it depends. That's a consultant answer, right? It depends. But no dead horse has a maybe you believe it's a dead horse, but he believes it's still alive. So what can you do to show him that it's really dead? That's the question. And that's maybe done by collecting empirical data over the last months, just to show him there's no progress, it's not going anywhere. And some people just need some graphical data or something like that to show it. I think that's important.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
We have a couple of questions on Match About. I will read them to you. The first one is, what are the alternatives to scaling?
Alternatives to scaling. So from my point of view, what I found out lots of time, that's what I just answered to the other girl in the back of the room, is usually I see in lots of companies there's so much potential if they set up their teams differently, if they have cross-functional teams, for example, and so on, that scaling is not needed anymore. If you break down projects in smaller chunks, like maybe developing microservices who are independent from each other, that you can develop on their own, for example, you have smaller teams still. And so I think there may be cases where there's no other way around for scaling. For example, at BMW, they have started a whole location in near Munich, where 1,800 people are working with the LESS framework on autonomous driving. So the future of autonomous driving. But they have cars in the lower areas where developers can get on the cars, try their new software, try it out. They can integrate immediately. They get all the data, petabytes of data, to see if this is working. They have all the needed people in the same building. There's no location somewhere else. They're just at the same location. And so they have all their homework done. Everybody is here, and it's really a huge thing. Autonomous driving, because you have radar sensors, you have all the algorithms, you have all the different cars and sensors and so on you have to bring together. And I think in this case, scaling makes sense, but in most cases it doesn't. So first of all, try to seek for the potential in the teams already, and then think about if you need to scale.
Okay, thank you. And we have another one.
Go for less and don't go for safe. But it's a different story.
Are you ready for the next question? What is the biggest argument against scaling?
The biggest argument against scaling, from my point of view, is it just hides all the problems that are still there. And then just by thinking, okay, if I apply all these scaling, especially if you apply safe, all these rows, all these processes and so on, from the outside and on first sight, it looks like everything is fine. But in the inside, it's maybe still broken and rotten and so on. So I think one of the biggest arguments against scaling is it's just hiding the real problems.
Okay, thank you, Marc. We have no more questions on Match About, but we have one more question from the audience.
So we are the guys that came to second row a little bit late.
I know.
So our question would be how to scale Agile in an organization that has completely different teams. And by completely different teams, meaning that, for example, one is working on front end and the second one is working on the back end. And how should the other one be involved with the same project? These dependencies, how to dismantle them? Because this is sort of a textbook of the scaling, but then again, not probably like make the teams cross-functional or like join the features, like everything is done in one slice in a way.
Yeah, so I think one picture that was posted on Match About earlier really showed it really nicely why cross-functional teams are a better thing than just functional teams. What you just described was, okay, you have component teams, like you have back-end teams, you have front-end teams, you maybe have a test team, and then you, of course, you have lots of interfaces, and no team is able to finalize one feature. The one guy is making a really nice front end for adding user data. The second one is building the backend maybe, and the third one is just testing it. So I think the first step will really be to bring these people together into one team, mix them up, build cross-functional teams. I think that's the first thing I would do.
Okay, thank you, Marc. We have another one on Match About. What in your opinion, is cross-functional team, and what should we do if we don't? What should we do if we don't? That kind of, I guess, have is missing. What should we do if we don't have these kind of resources?
Resources, okay. So what is a cross-functional team? For me, it's quite easy. You have some problem to solve. You have to build a product somehow, something like that. Then you have everybody in your team, all the skills you need in your cross-functional team to deliver feature by feature and to bringing this product to life. And whereas when you have component teams, you can only build a nice front end for the product, or you can only build a nice backend database for the product. But none of these teams is able to deliver the whole thing in the end. So it's better than to have 4, 5, 6 different cross-functional teams where all the skills are involved in these teams to be able to deliver. And I'm not talking about that you need an HR department in your teams or the purchasing department in your teams. Sometimes even this can make sense. But I'm really talking about that from development point of view, you have all the skills you need in one team.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, could you share some specific tools that could be used to port out multitasking thread with decision makers zombies?
Okay, I'm just trying to get around this question. Is this about how to get rid of parallel projects? Is this the question, more or less?
I'm reading it from Match About. I'm not sure what the question is either.
Okay.
I can repeat it, and so we can try to figure out again. Could you share some specific tools that could be used to point out multitasking thread with decision makers zombies?
Okay, I have a problem understanding these questions, honestly.
Okay.
So I would just introduce, for parallel project, I would introduce a form of agile portfolio management, where you say, okay, let's start a project for 3 months, you get a budget for 3 months, and then prove to me that I want to invest another 3 months into this product or project because I really believe in it. And if I don't believe it, I can't see any progress, I don't see why this is useful for us as a company, I will stop it. So I think that's a nice thing to do with lots of projects. So instead of giving a budget for 2 years, give them only a budget for 3 months, and then they have to show that what they're building is worth it.
Okay, thank you. I think that is it.
No, one more question,
one
sorry.
More. The last one, yes?
No. From the audience. Here.
Ah, from the audience.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mark. This is Dan. I'm a product owner from Bosch, working for Bosch Power Tools division. My colleagues and me are a bunch of Scrum Masters and product owners who are, let's say, it's expected from us, and it's one of our goals to basically support the overall Power Tools division with the agile transformation, especially the marketing and sales part. And why I'm asking this, because I read your description of your lecture where it says you were working with Bosch. So we're struggling with that change. Your experiences with Bosch and your advice on that topic. Thank you.
Okay, my experience with Bosch. So what I know is that Bosch Power Tools is still one of the departments who does best in Agile, I would say. I know it's still not working that well. But you can really see in Bosch it's really difficult. There are teams at Bosch who already started around the year 2000 with Agile and doing really quite well. And there are other departments like the automotive department, which is the oldest one, who struggles a lot with Agile. So I think it really depends in what areas you're looking in at Bosch. And you see all sorts of different varieties of Agile, I would say. Bosch Power Tools I heard a lot of because they changed to Agile because of all the pain they had. So they have lots of troubles, lots of pressure and so on. So they had to change. And I didn't work with Power Tools yet, Bosch Power Tools yet. So I'm quite sure you're struggling. And this is something I would maybe had to have a deeper look. Maybe you can just drop me a message on Matchabout, and we can just talk via email or via Skype, and then just tell me the whole story, and then we can have a little consulting session.
Okay. Mark, we have one more question on Matchabout. It just says less versus safe.
If you have to choose, then choose less, because it's less heavy. There's more, I think it's more settled on principles, more settled on knowing why you're doing things, and it's really less on tools. That's why I like less more than safe. Safe for me is just another rapid unified process in new packages.
Okay, Mark, time is up. If you want to conclude, you can have your final argument now.
Okay. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my first ever remote talk. I never did this before. It was fun, and but really difficult. Usually I'm just walking on stage and doing stuff. And but I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, just send a message to me, maybe via Twitter, which is just Marc Löffler with a C and OEFF. And on Twitter, I will just answer that, or just write me an email at marc@marclöffler.eu, or just catch me on Matchabout, doesn't matter. And I'm open for anything, and we can talk about these things too. So I wish you a great rest of the day. Enjoy Belgrade, and see you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Now we're on to a coffee break, so we'll see you in 25 minutes.